Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we're diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto got harem with Blackfire, Raven and Startfire, Part 1. Huge shout out to Lemon Painter 92 for this story. Let's start the story. It is a busy night in the colorful metropolis, a metropolis known as Jump City. People are trying to get home from work or having a night out with their buddies. The road was crammed with cars for varying reasons, although the dance of cars and people was normal for this city. The buildings are dark in tone and are all different shapes and sizes. There is also a large bay with a bridge crossing it, which can be seen from many places within the city. What the citizens of the city didn't know though, was that the every night dance of cars and people was about to be interrupted. Suddenly, a distortion in the middle of the street forces all the cars to swerve away from it, making them crash into others, while some of the civilians were all stood watching the anomaly. Some are forced to move, while a number run away from the event. Those that remain though see a blur fly out of the anomaly, which then slams into a building, leaving a good, deep hole in it, and kicking up dust so they can't see into the impact zone. The citizens hear a groan coming from the hole, and when the figure climbs out, most of the girls blush. Coming from the hole in the building, stands a handsome 18-year-old, olive-skinned male, with cerulean blue eyes. He has very short, spiky blonde hair, and also has 3 whisker marks on each cheek. He wears a knee-length, sleeveless black haori, which is adorned with several orange magatama around the high collar. It has the pattern of the Uzumaki clan crest on the back, and orange magatama along the rim at the bottom of his haori. He also wears black baggy pants, with orange magatama motifs along the sides of them. Underneath all of this he wears a black full-body suit that covered his whole body except from his head and fingers. In his left hand is a black shikujo that has a ring at one end and smaller rings connected to it, while his right palm has a white circle on it. This is Naruto Uzumaki, the reincarnation of Ashura, and container to the 2 halves of the 9-tailed fox, Kurama. Naruto looks around at his new location, taking note of the surrounding buildings, and noticed some of the people were taking photos of him. He looks at them in confusion, before shaking his head, and fully going onto the street so everyone could see him. "Where am I?" he asks out loud. "You're in Jump City, mate." One of the civilians replies. The blonde ninja looked in the direction of the speaker, but couldn't see who spoke, due to the size of the crowd. "Thank you." Naruto replies back kindly before looking over the crowd more, and using his sensor abilities, he noticed they didn't have chakra. So the people here don't have chakra, but the environment does. Is this the future, or a different world? I'll have to look into this later, but right now dash. "Are you a hero or a meanie?" asks a young voice from the crowd, snapping Naruto from his thoughts, and noticing who spoke. It was a 5-year-old girl with blonde hair, brown eyes, and wearing a shirt and pants, both of which were pink. She looks scared at Naruto, but also has confidence, and of course, the curiosity that only a child has. Besides the girl are her parents, and both are in their mid-20s. The father has blue eyes, brown hair, and is very businessman-like in terms of appearance. The mother has brown eyes, and blonde hair. She seems to be a teacher in terms of attire. This is also supported by the files under her arm, and the name of a school written onto the files. "I'm a hero." He replies back, getting a smile from her, but also a sigh of relief from the others. "Sweetie, what have we told you about talking to strangers?" The mother of the young girl reprimanded for her daughter's curiosity, before turning to Naruto. "We are sorry, mister." Naruto chuckles lightly. "It's quite alright man, when I was her age, I was just as curious." "What is your name?" the young girl asks. "It's Uzumaki, what's yours?" Naruto states, and then asks nicely, getting a smile from the girl. Although Naruto didn't reveal his whole name, since he was unsure of this world, and didn't want to reveal it in case he were to become a hero, again. "Amelia." "Hello, Amelia." Naruto states, before he looks around with a raised brow before, and as if on cue, his stomach rumbled, prompting his next question. "Are there any places nearby where I can get something to eat?" "Yes, Down the road is Pizza Corner, you can't miss it. A better-dressed female told him. She looks like an historian, and well-read, judging by her glasses, neat clothing, and history books under her arms. Naruto looks towards her. Thank you. He murmurs, before heading off down the road, before suddenly stopping after a few steps. Everyone watches as he kneels down, and presses a hand against the road. Barely a second passes, and strange black symbols appear on the road where his hand is. The blonde then stands up, and looks back at the crowd, before turning to the building he crashed in during his arrival. He places a foot on the wall before running up the side of the building, gaining shocks from everyone. Jump City, rooftops, Wednesday. Once on top of the structure, Naruto looks at the view of the dull, but colorful coastal city and spots an island in the bay. He also picks out a chakra signature in the city, which seem to appear in one place, disappear very suddenly, and then reappear somewhere else. So there are chakra users on this world. His facial features change from curiosity to an unsure frown. This person's chakra feels dark. It does, Naruto. I think it's demonic and unbalanced at that. A booming, but familiar voice sounds from within himself. Young Kurama, it's good to hear from you. Are you and Nin Kurama all right? We're fine, Naruto. We're waking up now. Naruto smiles softly at the knowledge that his friends are fine. At the end of the Fourth Shinobi World War, the two QBS decided to use Naruto as their vessel, but didn't want to form back together as a single entity as they had been before, although they wouldn't state their reasons to the blonde. One thing that did baffle them though, was that Naruto was able to pick the two apart just by their voices. Naruto looks at the night sky, noticing how little stars can be seen, not doubt due to the increase in light pollution compared to what he's used to back in Konoha, or any of the large villages back home. He notices a star tracking slowly across the sky. It wasn't a comet since it didn't have a tail, but it wasn't a meteor since it hadn't hit the atmosphere. He raised a brow, picking up a strange source of energy from it, before shaking his head and looking down the road to where Pizza Corner should be. He then jumps from building to building, in order to get some well-needed food. Space, over Earth, Wednesday. Not far away from Earth, with its single moon, and beautiful background sea of stars, a ghastly bronze spaceship in appearance seems to be out for a cruise. Its fuselage is a large rounded disc shape-wise, with a narrow shaft topped by a circular projection standing dead center on the upper surface of the bridge. A number of spikes extend from the diameter on either side, while two larger ones point straight ahead to flank the main gun, which has a blood-red core. Cordanian ship, ship interior, Wednesday. The inside of the ship is just as ghastly as it is on the outside, and seems to be very dark. Abruptly a door that appeared to be one with the wall opens to expose a dark corridor, with running red lights over a number of cells. Suddenly, the sound of a lingering, subdued, blood-curdling yell echoes throughout the ship. The scream appears to be feminine in tone of voice. Two muscular winged reptilian humanoids with long tails, known as Gordanians, trek into the hallway. Each is armed with a long spear. They are blue in color, with dim golden fins, chest plates, and a helmet that showed their face, and red eyes. The hammering of unsociable fists against the wall joins the scream, with the latter trailing off into a feral growl. The two creatures remain on their night watch, and don't even acknowledge the three glass-fronted holding cells that contain three unique and different creatures in them, but keep pointing forwards, not even sparing a glance. The two looms to a closed door at the far end of the passageway, which opens to reveal two more Gordanians stationed at a steel-fronted cell, and are looking at the door with their spears crossed and ready. The screams are much louder and more intense now, with the connection of fist against wall being much more perceptible, deducing that they are all originating from behind the steel cell. A very livid tenant is locked behind it, and only a small window slot allows visual contact between the two sides. The four Gordanians, now all standing, and waiting for whatever would come through the door, but they are unsure, since they are aware of the person behind it. Will the door hold? One of the aliens asks in a monotone voice. It must. Another one hisses out, displaying the panic in his voice, showing that he secretly believes the door will be broken. The hollering and banging only intensifies, making it seem the prisoner is desperate, but also extremely dangerous. The alien will be delivered on schedule. Lord Trogar has decreed it. Yet another Gordanian states with a sense of conclusiveness. And if this thing gets loose? The first one questions with a hint of disdain directed to the being in the cell. Then Zorg help us all. One mutters after a moment's pause. Another piercing scream sounds from the cell. Soon after, the glass cracks and two scorching, neon green eyes rise into view behind it. The closer two of the four guards take a few steps back because of this, while all are bracing themselves for anything and everything. Their answer came in the form of one last yell that rings out, and not long after the door blows outward off its hinges. The steel panel crashes to the deck, while at the same time the stunned foursome looked at all that remained of the door between them and their former prisoner. They look into the total blackness within the cell, and after what seemed like an eternity or two, the eyes sparked up again and their owner steps out into the light, revealing that it was indeed a girl, and a very beautiful one at that. Coriandar or Startfire of Tamarin is tall, very beautiful, and has a slender, but curvy body that many would kill for. She has long scarlet red hair, and her skin is bright orange. She wears a sleeveless top showing her stomach, a miniskirt and thigh boots that were all black. She also is wearing a belt, and has a silver armor plate on her neck, under which was metal-colored armored undergarments that covered her whole body except her face. She also has a face-framing crown, and armor plates on her shoulders. Her hands and forearms are encased in thick, rigid cuffs that are connected at both ends. She was enraged, and had traces of recent tears down her cheeks. The reason for her being mad is due to a part of the peace treaty between Tamarin and the Citadel. The latter's military had invaded her home planet. She was traded as a slave in order to bring peace to a war-torn Tamarin, and now she was being held by the Gordanians to be delivered as a slave to the Citadel. The reason she was crying, and feeling even more rage, was due to seeing a planet get glassed, one that looked similar to Gaia, home of the elementals, whom her family and race held a deep and important promise with. But also she had been keeping an eye on a certain blonde individual, whom had saved Gaia during a war, and became the savior of the planet, despite everything bad happening to that person. She had even talked to him a number of times under disguise, not telling him of her nobility and race. She now believed he was dead, and she wanted revenge for the death of her would-be lover. Zengtha Aryumaka. Kek Zengtha roar. She states menacingly. The enchained warrior lunges forward, charging on while echoing a ferocious roar in her throat. She closes the distance between herself and the four Gordanians very quickly. She hasn't got the advantage when it comes to size, but like they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. She swings both forearms in a wild roundhouse style, which smacks one of the reptilian creatures, and knocking him to the wall with a harsh crash. The escaped prisoner swiftly turns around to face two more, and speaks in the same tone of voice. Zengtha Aryumaka. Kek Zengtha roar. She performs another big swing, which dispatches two more. She spins around, and tries an uppercut against the one left standing. He blocks it however with his javelin, and attempts a counterattack by bashing the staff against her. He gets nowhere with it due to her blocking it, then slipping in a hit that shatters the shaft in two and capitalizes on it with a vicious kick to the head. The now senseless enemy flies back due to the kick, and slams into a control panel on the wall. This act seems to activate the alarms which are noted by the red lights and sirens. The orange-skinned alien looks around, and whispers viciously. Heskavo. She looks back to the entrance of her cell, noticing a cloaked individual standing in the doorway. Kakeska and I. The individual is wearing a white, full-length kimono with a pattern of 6 black magatama up around the high collar, beneath which he wears a necklace that has 6 black magatama connected to a chain. The high collar also has a hood, which obscures the person's face, preventing Startfire from seeing his face, which seems to be a black mass. On the back of his kimono was a large red Rinnegan-like marking with a pattern of 9 red magatama arranged in 3 rows of 3 beneath it. His hands also have strange features on the palms, a light-colored circle representing Yang in his right palm, and a dark-colored crescent moon representing Yin in his left palm. Coriandar was about to paint the wall with this priest, before he rose a hand signaling that he didn't want to fight, but just talk. He picked up a photo from the floor, which the alien princess must have dropped during her escape. "Here you go, young Tamaranian." He spoke softly, but full of wisdom and power. Coriandar seemed to growl for a moment, before looking at the picture in his grasp. It was all that remained of the boy she had lost on Gaia. While her eyes glowed fiercely, her demeanor had softened, and seemed to be longing for that picture. "Do not let your anger get the best of you. Besides, when you land on the world you're over, a surprise waits for you." He lectured, gaining a nod from Startfire, whom seemed to understand what he said. Her picture then glided to her, and hides away in her boot. Coriandar looks at him, and was about to say something when she heard a bang behind her, causing her to spin around to see that it was nothing. She looked back to where the priest was, whom to her shock, had vanished. She also needed to vanish if she was to be free from these slavers. Space, over Earth, Wednesday. A sector of the lower hull blows apart, and not even a second later, the enraged alien blasts out through the smoke and flame. She is making quick work of leaving the area, as she has put a great deal of distance between herself and the Gordanian starship, while making a beeline for Earth. Jump City, backstreets, Wednesday. Sirens wail in the distance, while a figure runs along the path before ducking into an alley. He is carrying a bulging sack in his hand. He looks back toward the mouth of a dark, deserted alley, just in time to see several Razer mobiles screen past the backstreet. He eyes the sack of stolen goods smugly, before walking deeper into the alley. Before he can get 10 steps away though, a shadow passes quickly over him, causing him to suddenly stop. "What's that?" exclaimed the robber. During this, he pulls out a crowbar and displays it apprehensively with his free hand. He looks around, trying to find the source of the shadow in the air above him. Suddenly, a boomerang flashes down from the rooftops, which connects to the burglar's armament, forcing him to lose his hold on the crowbar. The criminal backs up nervously, due to the new, and currently invisible, involvement. "I don't want trouble, okay?" He got a dose of trouble though, first with a fleet of large bats, flying straight at him and squeaking along the way. He threw his arms up to protect his face, causing him to drop the loot. He stands his ground as they flap past. However, the main course was about to come. Any thought of an action was shattered by a voice echoing from the shadows. "You should have thought of that before you committed the crime." The owner of the voice came from the darkness as the owner stepped into the light. He wears an outfit consisting of green tights with black boots, green gloves, short-sleeved green shirt under a red armored vest with a yellow R over his left chest, a yellow belt and a black cape with a yellow inside. He wears a black and white domino mask, has black spiked back hair, light skin, and a slim athletic build. This is Richard Beep Grayson, whose alias is Robin. He advances towards him, and jumps. He sends a high kick that connects to the chin and forces the thief back a number of yards. The man rushes back toward the interloper, causing Robin to back up a bit and to block the wild punches arcing toward his head by the enemy, before he delivers a chop to the midsection to the criminal and kicking him in the chest. The boy wonder does not let him rest. He jumps to a wall and pushes away from it for a boost towards the villain. This move carries him over the criminal's shoulders, and he grabs them for a rock-hard body slam, which knocks the wind out of the floored corrupted person. Robin doesn't let up, as he drags the human punching bag up off the ground and heaves him into the wall, where he slides down, barely conscious. The burglar looks up, noticing who had thrashed him so easily, and was in so much shock, he seemed to brush off his beating. "Hey! This isn't your town. Aren't you supposed to be with?" Robin interrupts him as he moves closer to the human punching bag. "Just moved here. And from now on, I work alone." Robin is talking about the end of his partnership with Batman, who trained him as a crime fighter, and partly raised him due to a tragedy in the young man's past. The sound of something whooshing overhead draws his attention away from the beatdown he just gave. He looks into the sky to see a bright green streak slicing through the starry sky above the buildings. It traces a straight path corresponding to the alley and vanishes behind the buildings on the far side of the street. Not long after its disappearance due to the urban jungle, a subdued eruption is heard and a pale emerald dust cloud streams up from the impact zone. Robin's masked eyes narrow for a moment at the event, before he casts his eyes back to the collapsed petty thief. He then ties up the burglar and hangs him upside down. After that, Robin hoists himself over a wall at the dead end and heads to the impact zone. Jump City, Pizza Corner Restaurant, Wednesday. Just before the impact, Naruto was sat enjoying pizza and fries. He was situated on the upper level and is sat alone next to a large wooden table, with a larger red umbrella, and chairs orbiting the table. Naruto took his time to look around the upper level and the rest of Pizza Corner, with its most notable feature being in the shape of a pizza slice, with a door on the upper level towards the back. Both upper and lower levels were roomy, with the lower having a number of open windows. The structure was made from a number of materials like the high-rising buildings around it. It had a large billboard above the establishment with the word pizza placed into white rectangles, which are under two smaller and different colored rectangles. He knew he was going to have to learn a great deal about this planet. He was already prepared for this. He managed to get the locations of the libraries in Jump City from one of the people in the restaurant, before moving to a more secluded area, and used Shadow Clone Jutsu so he could learn things much faster, while enjoying the sights. And this meal. The one thing he wasn't enjoying though, was the amount of people looking at him, or taking photos. But something else was bothering him, a strange gut feeling, the feeling of something very important and life-altering about to happen. Both Kuramas were also feeling it, and that didn't help the blonde at all. Naruto noticed the chakra source from before had moved, and this time it was nearby, on the same street in fact, but was not elevated like he was, indicating that this other user was on the street below. He also was able to find other chakra users, but none were close to the levels that the demonic chakra user, or he has. What he didn't know was that this person had the ability to read minds, was tuning in to learn as much about him as possible, but was also listening in on his secret conversation. I'm guessing that chakra user who is following me is a sensor, and is seeing if we're a threat, or if we can teach them. Naruto ponders during his slow meal, knowing the active guests inside him would be listening to him, and would comment on matter. I'm not sure, Naruto, but be careful. We don't know anything about this planet, but the presence of this lone chakra user is confusing me. Yam Kurama replied to its vessel, also trying to work out this unknown person. Naruto looks around for a clock. He notices a brass clock on a tower not far from him. The time instrument appears to be working, and is showing the current time, which is 23:30. How did the tale go again, both Kuramas, from what old man Hagoromo told us about the origins of chakra? Around 1,000 years ago our home world was a different place, constant wars plagued the land. Kagaya and the Otsutsuki clan came from a far-off planet to live on the moon, while Kagaya herself came down to rid the world of wars and sadness. The only way Kagaya could do it was through the god tree, better known as Shinju, where the source of all chakra on our world was contained. She ate the fruit from the tree, gained unrivaled power, and then brought world peace. She would later give birth to two kids, Hagoromo and Hamura. Both could use chakra easily. However, at some point something appeared, the bastard called Trigun. She and her sons fought the terrible creature valiantly, altering the landscape in their conflict. Before his defeat, however, he used his powers to control Kagaya and turn her on her sons. She merged with the Shinju, became the 10 Tails, and fought Hagoromo and Hamura. The 10 Tails was defeated and then sealed in Hagoromo, as you know. He would then create the current tailed beasts, as you know, before the old man's death, and sealed the body of the 10 Tails in the moon. He also used what was left of his powers to send the Lode chakra into a different dimension, known as Azarath, which is the place where Trigun was sealed after their fighting with him. Young QB breathed loudly after its explanation of the early years. So when we fought Kagaya, she was still under his control. Naruto speculated, since he had fought her, and won. However, something had been bugging Naruto about that fight. This time Kurama replied to him in place of the young half. Yes, While she was very powerful, her will wasn't strong enough due to being corrupted by her own powers. Hagoromo's and Hamura's separate wills were strong enough to not be controlled. What's on your mind now? The demonic Een Fox suddenly asked, quickly noticing that Naruto had something else on his mind as well. It's the fight against Kaguya that felt wrong when I look back on it now. During the fight I noticed she tried fighting someone else's control. I thought she was trying to fight Black Zetsu's, but now I think she was fighting this bastard known as Trigon. If anything, he's the one to blame for everything that happened on our world. I think I know why Kaguya tried to bring herself back, not to control the world, but to prepare it for whenever Trigon appeared again. Sorry, I'm just trying to think about Kaguya's motive. It's alright, Naruto. Young Kurama replied to Naruto, clearly impressed with Naruto's thoughts regarding that epic fight. Naruto did bring up some interesting points though, and would need time to figure out its own reply to that. In the meantime, Een Kurama continued on its original conversation. After the fight, Hamura created the Hyuga clan, before moving to our moon where the Otsutsuki race, or clan, had set up camp. However, the fox seemed to stop talking, but was more hesitant than willing to stop. What? Naruto, there is something you should know. Before the old man created us, our planet was visited by another alien race of feline warriors whom came from a planet called Tamarin. The race was known as Tamaranian. They were from the Vega star system. Members of their royal family met Hagoromo and his younger son Ashura. Indra wasn't there since he had gone on off on his own due to the old man picking Ashura as his successor. The visitors wished to form a friendship between them and us, allowing our planet to be protected by them. So they created a contract that in 1,000 years from their meeting, the Tamaranians would return and would ally with our planet. However, the aliens added a marriage requirement, stating that a member of the royal family of Tamarin and a member of Ashura's family would marry to completely fulfill the contract. The Een demon inside Naruto explained, not knowing how Naruto will take this. Okay, well, I know I'm connected to Ashura's family line due to him creating the Senju and Uzumaki clans. I'm the last male Uzumaki left, Karen is the last female, while Tsunade is the last female Senju. I'm also Ashura's reincarnation, so this marriage could include me and an alien princess. Pretty much. The young half answered, with both halves slightly surprised at how easily their vessel seems to be handling the new news. Naruto sighs loudly, rubs the bridge of his nose, and mutters, brilliant, absolutely fucking perfect. I may end up being forced to marry someone that I never even knew existed until just now. Getting married for a sick sense of duty. I need some heavy sake. At least she would be better than the females from your world. Stated the Een Kurama in a matter-of-fact tone. Not all of them were bad, but I would like to know her first. How would I break this to Coriandar from our home world, if I see her again? He ponders dejectedly, wondering if he'd be able to break it to the girl in question again since she vanished about a year ago. Keep them both. Both foxes said in a teasing and perverted manner. Before a red-faced Naruto could even respond to his friends, his powerful ears catch a whooshing sound causing him to look across the skyline, and noticing a green streak, which crashes next to the establishment. An explosion thundered from the street below and green haze rises from the impact area. This gets Naruto on his feet right away. He looks over the barrier that stops people from falling off the restaurant, planning on jumping in and dealing with whatever caused the explosion if it starts to hurt the citizens. He notices the glowing green smoke obscuring the impactor. Soon a figure comes out of the smoke as it dissipates over time. Jump City, streets, Wednesday. Several curious onlookers have stopped their cars and gotten out for a better look. The thick smoke disperses to reveal Startfire at the center of the rubble, her face showing hostility, and her eyes burning with untamed fury. Slop for Iverkmat. The enraged alien shouted as she slides down the slabs and advances to the civilians, scaring off the less confident ones. Whoa! Came from a male member crowd. Slopforn. Und Gudchik Zero. She growls at a young man trying to hold his camera straight to take a picture of her. What the person didn't take into account was when the shutter clicked, the flash went off. The alien recoiled from the glare with eyes squeezed shut. A moment later, she reopens them, still blazing as strongly as ever, and starts swinging her arms with a fresh, but still incensed, yell. Jump City, Pizza Corner Restaurant, Wednesday. Naruto could only glare blankly at the stupid citizen who had set the street destroyer off with his camera. Oh, for Kami's sake. He complained as most of the crowd on the street backed up further away from the alien girl, who then pounds the pavement hard enough to leave yet another crater in it. This act causes everyone to break for cover, all except the people on the pizza corner roof, including Naruto. She has got some impressive strength, even Sakura and Tsunade would be jealous. Since they need to add energy to their punches to make them as powerful as they are, while she seems to just be using natural strength. The Yin Fox complimented, knowing how jealous Sakura would be due to this person's strength. Naruto nods as he sees the newcomer smash her shackled arms into a taxi, rendering it fit for the scrapyard with a single blow. He whistles in awe. Other strikes ruins a bank of pay phones, a bench, and a streetlight or two. Several pizza joint customers stare from the relative safety of the second-floor balcony beside Naruto, as it trembles under their feet, although Naruto doesn't bother with the vibrations, and isn't fazed by them. When the display finally stops, the stunning alien walks quietly amid the havoc she has just wreaked in this end of Jump City. Naruto notices she stops, before lifting her arms, and straining to pull apart the shackles, but with no luck. She's not emitting any malicious intent, but was simply trying to get free of those enormous cuffs. Naruto thought, using his ability to detect negative emotions. Zop, Yark, Mesnuff. Naruto hears the visitor speak, clearly not being able to understand what it means. He also doesn't get much help from the conscious-tailed beasts on the matter. After a moment's rest though, Naruto notices she looks toward the front door of the pizza joint, more specifically, the pillar that's supporting the leading tip of the balcony. Naruto sees that she's about to hurl herself at the support, and if she does hit it hard like she did the street, the people on the balcony would be in serious trouble. The visitor jumps, hoping to free herself from the cuffs. Oh no you don't. He shouts, before the spectators at the railing watch him jump over the edge, knowing that he will stop the female from doing damage to the building they were on. Jump City, Streets, Wednesday. Back to ground level, the alien looms ever closer to the pillar, ready to damage it in sheer determination to free herself or die trying. However, something connects to her cuffs during mid-swing, and it isn't the pillar. She notices what slowed down, then stopped her flight, which to her surprise is a thin black shikujo that has a ring at one end and smaller rings connected to the larger ring. She looks at the person who held the weapon and is scarcely able to contain a blush on her face, but also releases a barely readable gasp. It was him, the person in her photo, the one who she had spent time with on Gaia before she was taken. Sure, he looked slightly different now since it had been a long time, but she could tell it was him with those bright blue eyes, and those whiskers. How was he here though? Did that priest she encountered have something to do with it? Since he did let on that he knew something, as he had explained to her that a surprise waited for her on the planet. Was this the surprise he informed her about? Her thoughts on the matter are halted when Naruto pushes her back down the street to where she originally jumped from, creating distance between them. Naruto looks at her, as his shikujo remains strong surprisingly. He was slightly shocked at how strong she was since he really had to hold his ground when he stopped her hit, but even then, he was still pushed back a few meters. She's as strong as, or stronger than, I am. I'll have to be careful here. Coriandar glares back toward Naruto with a threatening little growl and a pair of eyes that could double as lighthouse beacons for their brightness. She then throws Naruto a malicious little smile while working her head around to loosen up her neck. Zota. She now wanted to test him. Naruto, on the other hand, is preparing for what will be a hard fight on unknown grounds and against an unknown enemy, but he wasn't known as the unpredictable ninja or the war hero of his world for nothing. But first, Naruto would test how well trained she is in the art of hand-to-hand combat, or taijutsu, before bringing in the big guns in his arsenal. Naruto jumps forward with a chakra-enhanced leap, while at the same time Startfire performs a leap that carries her all the way across the street to him. Both meeting in the middle, Coriandar brings her right leg across in a sweeping motion, hoping to hit his midsection and dispatch him quickly. She executes, but fails due to his flexibility, leading her to bring her shackled arms downward in an asphalt-wrecking swing, causing her to destroy more of the street. Naruto barely moves out of the way. He brings his right leg up for a high kick, but she does the same thing, and both their right legs connect. Naruto grits his teeth in pain, now knowing that she is stronger than his base form, making him rethink his plan. He quickly drops his leg under hers and spins around. He gains momentum as he brings his right leg up again to kick her away. She brings her arms up to block it, but is kicked to the side a few meters due to the thrust he had gained in his spin. He then punches her hard across the face, causing her to recoil back from the hit, sending her back a meter or two. Coriander, as Naruto moves to attack her again, swings her still joined hands at him, hitting the blonde in the left arm and left side. The psychical strength of the alien was higher than his, and that strength sent Naruto into a nearby parked car, making the blonde wince in pain. The blonde pulls himself out of the now wrecked car, before he quickly appears in front of the orange-skinned teen and kicks her in the midsection, using his velocity to increase the power of his strikes. His strike sent her partway down the road, causing a skid mark-like impact in the tarmac, due to her body hitting the ground. The blonde hero jumps, and lands on a car to gain some time to enter into Sage mode. Hopefully that will help him, as he didn't want to reveal his other forms, at least not yet. Coriander is quick to capitalize on his pausing, by leaping across the street over to him, and bringing her shackled arms to the roof of the car. As Naruto bolts out of the way to dodge the attack, a boomerang spins into the scene, and hits the crown on the alien female's head, causing her to suddenly deviate in mid-flight and hit the ground next to the car. Naruto lands not far from the person who threw the weapon. Naruto looks over to see who it was. Interesting. The person in question was currently standing on the roof of a parked car. The domino mask wearer who arrived must be the Deadeye that stopped the alien visitor in her tracks. His arms are tucked into his cape, which is draped around his shoulders. The teen throws the cape back, showing how brightly dressed he was, and braces for action. Who are you? Robin is forced to jump clear, and in the nick of time too, as the car he was on was reduced to paste by the growling alien. He touches down in a backward skid, but one roundhouse-like swing after another forces him to keep bobbing and weaving. Naruto meanwhile sits down in his own meditative state to start calling on the powers of Sage Mode and Senjutsu. As he's drawing in natural energy, the fracas works its way down the street. In the mouth of an alley, a cloaked figure stands with its hood up, preventing anyone from seeing its face. The figure watches Robin leap high over Startfire, who then slings a handful of grenades at the invader. They quickly explode in her face. The person watching is a pretty female. She wears a dark blue cloak that prevented anyone to see under it. The cloak, as stated before, also had a hood, which she wore so you couldn't see much of her head. From what you could see, is that she has ash-gray skin and violet-colored irises. On her cloak, she has a circular black/red jewel set in a gold plate that attaches the whole thing together. Her real name is Rachel Roth, but she goes by the alias of Raven. Her impassive face is barely visible in the alley's shadows. Raven quickly cuts her eyes to Naruto, the one who she had been following ever since he arrived in the city. It took a while to find the real one since he duplicated himself a few hundred times. Her eyes widen at what he's doing. He's drawing in nature energy, but also his chakra levels were rising and getting more potent. She's shocked at someone else having the same energy as her, but being able to control it like it's nothing. This makes her somewhat jealous, but quickly quashes the emotion and watches him as his eyelids take on orange colorations. When his eyes open, his eyes are yellow and have a toad-like pupil, unlike before when his eyes were blue. She raises an eyebrow at this while the blonde stands up. With Robin and Coriander though, the smoke from Robin's grenades don't quite hide the radiant green pinpoints of the warrior within it. The cloud evaporates to expose her fully. Robin's eyes suddenly bug out in surprise and he gasps. The reason why he's in shock is because Startfire is hooking one foot under the chassis of a nearby car. She effortlessly kicks it up several feet so that it rotates to point its nose toward the ground. When it is an inch short of splattering its innards across 20 yards of tarmac, she boots it toward Robin. Robin then drops himself flat to the floor to avoid catching it with his face. That wasn't needed as the car splits in half down the middle, causing both sides to pass by him. One of the car pieces sail in a low, lightning-fast flight into the building next to them and explodes against it, while the other lands down the street near the far-end building. The reason why it split is standing in front of Robin, causing the masked hero to look up to see Naruto, whose Shikujo has razor-sharp chakra/energy around it, which must have been brought down in a slashing motion to split the car, as the road also had a deep cut in it. Stronger than she looks. Robin mutters to himself as he stands up, loud enough for Naruto to hear though, who at the same time moves to stand next to Robin as the energy around his staff fades away. The boy wonder also notices Naruto's eyes and raises a brow, before looking back at the unidentified female alien warrior. She is stronger physically, and Naruto suddenly stopped, as the alien princess was suddenly upon them, and watched as the boy wonder was pasted hard across the jaw, causing him to skid all the way to the pizza joint. "Kami, damn it!" Naruto comments as he jumps back. Before running and jumping forward to kick her, she dodges to the side and swings her arms to him. Naruto catches the swing with his hand in midair, and pushes back so he can land. He does land, but quickly has to dodge a kick from the girl. He grabs her leg, and headbutts her. This action hurts both of them. She brings the cuffs to her head in an unsuccessful attempt to soothe her forehead, while Naruto had let go of her leg to ease his own forehead pain. The blonde war hero then gets sledgehammered hard across the jaw, causing him to land on the floor. He gets up on a knee, and looks up, to see the angry female stand over him. He hastily primes a large Rasengan, and slams it into her stomach as she's about to bring her arms down to scatter his brains across the pavement. The attack grinds into her, and the force of the attack sends her across the street, and into a building with a thunderous crash, kicking up clouds of dust in the process. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Kurama shouts in slight concern, knowing that the hit he received not so long ago definitely hurt him. "I'm fine, I guess I'm not at full power after the trip here, huh?" "No, you are not." Young Kurama replied irritably, which isn't directed at Naruto somewhat, but at the fact that the beasts themselves aren't at full power also, with the somewhat being Naruto rushing into another fight. At the same time, Coriandar climbs out of the now dust-free rubble her body caused. There is damage to the armor on the stomach area due to Naruto's attack. She is about to stalk up to Naruto once more, but her act is curtailed, due to a long fighting staff suddenly slamming against alien female's head, which propels her into a parked car 60 yards away. Robin steps up close to Naruto and he brandishes the staff again. But it unexpectedly deteriorates into dust in his hands. Damn it! Coriandar comes in for another jumping strike. Before she can reduce the boy wonder's skull to powder and defeat the now Naruto though, a green bighorn sheep springs into view and rams her at full speed, causing her to go down the street next to a bus. The creature transforms into a human form and salutes Robin. He is male but a very unique one at that. He is skinny, and wears a black and purple jumpsuit and boots with silver gloves and a silver belt. He also wears a mask, but it doesn't really do much as you can still see his green skin and darker shade of green eyes. He has fangs and sharp ears. This is Garfield Logan, better known as Beast Boy. Ex-Doom Patrol member Beast Boy, sirs. How can I help? His eyes suddenly widen in awe. Holy shit. You're Robin, aren't you, sir? He let the salute slip in his excitement, but quickly re-establishes it. Well, you can start by not calling me, sir. Robin replies to the newcomer with calm, but slightly emotionless voice. That was a mistake on Robin's part, as the green youth's eyes have again gone as wide as saucers and are now shining with the largest amount of reverence. So much so that sparkles hover around his smiling face, and that his hand is still plastered to his eyebrow. Naruto could only deadpan at the display, and he isn't the only one as the demonic foxes inside him are also deadpanning at the scene. Well, let me just say that it's a real honor to be. Beast Boy, was it? Interrupted Robin, due to the situation that himself, Naruto, and now Beast Boy was a part of. Yes, sir. Naruto and Robin pointed down the street to Startfire, who has since recovered from the bighorn charge that the shapeshifter dealt, and is straining to lift a bus over her head. "Wow!" Beast Boy cries in shock. "Wow!" Robin commented, although he wasn't really as surprised as the green altered human. "Wow!" Naruto stated in respect. "Wow, indeed!" Came both the foxes residing inside Naruto with a complimentary tone. While Naruto heard the fox's comment on the matter, the other boys didn't. Coriandar slings the bus toward the three boys. The two native boys bolt in opposite directions with Naruto dropping quickly to the deck where he was. A broad figure in a gray hooded sweatshirt and black pants appears where they stood as the bus hurtles squarely into his face. Instead of being flattened into a pancake, the unknown ally catches it and digs in as the flying bus is slowly but surely brought to a stop. The stranger holds the bus up by the bumper, but you could see some of the person, allowing enough detail to create a positive ID. Although the dark gray sweatshirt's raised hood casts the top half of the face in shadow, the dark skin and glowing red left eye gives it away as Vic Stone, also known as Cyborg. He then swiftly dumps the bus off to one side, throwing up plumes of dust that quickly clear to fully revealing the rest of him, like the black gloves and black pants he wears. Naruto did not care what color he was, or the fact that one of his eyes was a solid red and the other eye had a dark blue iris. He could get along well with most people, and this newcomer looked like a badass. But Naruto had to deal with something that had been bugging him since the start of this mess. "Yo! Who here is messing up my neighborhood?" He shouted out, clearly not impressed with what's happened in his neighborhood. Beast Boy slides up to him and points to where the alien is. "She started it." Before looking himself, and seeing that the blonde-haired boy was much further from them, and a few meters from her. Robin, Beast Boy, and Cyborg run to back up the unnamed blonde hero helping them, but get barely 10 yards down the street before a gargantuan black energy barrier springs up to stop them in the form of a screeching bird. Another wisp rises from the sidewalk behind them and resolves into Raven, not that they know her name yet. Maybe fighting isn't the answer. She offers in an impassive voice in the form of a statement, and not a question. The three boys turn toward her as she glances off to one side and dispels the apparition, leaving them with a clear view of Coriandar and Naruto, who seem to be in a staring contest at a distance from each other, with the latter being tense. Startfire stands amid the debris of the street before walking up after a moment's pause. She now stands in front of Naruto looking straight at him with her glowing eyes. She then does something unexpected. She lifts the shackled cuffs up, but not in a threatening manner, to Naruto. Back with the others, they look on at the scene with mixed expressions. Before two of the three boys could do anything, the boy wonder takes control of the situation. "Stand down. Who do you think are, the boss or something?" Cyborg complained, clearly wanting to do something, and being bossed around was one of the things he didn't want, as he wanted to protect the city by his own accord, and not anyone else's. "Just give him a chance," Robin retorted, knowing how strong the blonde was, but also how strong the alien was. If the blonde weren't here, he would have had a much harder time dealing with this. "I do need to talk to him after this, maybe he could help me," were the thoughts of the caped crusader as she kept her eye on Naruto. After all, hearing all his conversation with the creatures inside him shook her up. The story of the sage and his family, the origins of chakra, that a bastard known as Trigon, and when they mentioned the place where she was born, that got her attention even more. She needed to talk to him, and maybe he could join her in her own battles, if not, train her using chakra, and other areas. With Coriandar and Naruto though, our blonde hero seemed to be looking at her facial features, most notably the eyes, as they were not glowing anymore, allowing him to see her jade green eyes and light green sclera. Her demeanor had changed from the angry and destructive force of nature moments earlier, to what seems to be sadness, longing, and wondering. "Gakta Zero. Naruto. I can free you, but you must not move. I do hope you can understand me," Naruto says to her, not knowing if she can understand him, but continues with his way of freeing her. He places the Shikujo on the floor just before he wills a scroll from a seal on his right arm. He grabs it, unwraps the scroll and lays it out on the road, showing many different seal arrays. He puts the shikujo on an empty part, it explodes in smoke, before showing a seal array where it once was. He then places a hand over another seal array, and a cloud of smoke erupts from it, and a picklock appears over the faded seal. He gets the lock picker, and starts putting it to use, but not in a way that most people would have done it. He sends Kurama's chakra down through the picklock and into the cuffs to erode them away, but not harm the girl while doing so. The others were watching the whole ordeal take place and were somewhat surprised at what the blonde did and could do, none more so than Raven. However, Beast Boy spoke, hoping that the others could tell him something. "What is he doing?" "I don't know, but he seems to be corroding the cuffs with his picklock." Robin responded, clearly surprised with this, but wondered how he was doing it. After a few seconds of corroding with the red chakra, the shackles broke apart and crashed down between the two pairs of feet. Coriandar massages her freed wrists thankfully before looking at Naruto again as the red chakra bubbles away just before he puts the picklock back into the scroll, and then the scroll back into the seal on his right arm in a puff of smoke. "You're free, now then, why was you?" He gets no further, as she drags him to herself with one hand and kisses him passionately on the lips, causing his and the other's eyes to widen in shock. Her eyes have stayed closed throughout the embrace and she has a small blush on her face. She opens her eyes again and slowly pulls back from Naruto, who was blushing during and after she took his breath away. "What did you do that for?" Naruto questioned in shock, as he was not used to being kissed, but a stranger who he had just fought against had just kissed him. That was an even more bizarre experience. "It is enjoyable to see you again, Naruto Uzumaki," she suddenly says in near-perfect English, having instantly learned it via the kiss due to her race's ability to assimilate languages, or did she learn it from a different moment in time? 1,000 thoughts rushed through Naruto as he seemed to blink for a moment. His sage mode seemed to fade at the same moment, his eyes returning to normal at the same time as the orange around his eyes vanished. "How can you speak elemental when you was speaking a different language a while ba?" Naruto would have continued, but he seemed to remember what she had said. "Wait, how in Kami's name do you who I am?" he exclaims anxiously. Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, and Cyborg, similarly perplexed, assemble behind him. Wanting to know more about the situation, the new visitors, how she can understand him, and how she apparently knows him. "I know you quite well, Naruto. You also know me very well, until a year ago when I was taken as prize by the Gordanians to be taken to the Citadel, to live out my days as a servant." "And the Citadel is?" Raven interrupted, while wanting to know more about the blonde, wanted to know about how the alien girl ended up in this situation. "The Citadel is not nice," the visitor stated in a somber tone, and seemed to be more withdrawn when she spoke. "I'm guessing that those are the Gordanians?" Cyborg questions, as he looks to the sky and sees an unpleasant-looking ship hovering over Jump City. It casts a giant shadow across most of the city as it tracks across the sky before floating over to the island in the bay. It then launched a large probe to the island, where it glowed, and created a large hologram that could be seen for miles. It was a Gordanian, but one with a crown built into his helmet. "People of Earth, we come to your planet hunting an escaped prisoner, a very dangerous prisoner. Do not interfere and we will leave your city with only minimal damage. But if you attempt to assist her, your destruction will be absolute," it announces in a loud, harsh and distorted voice. The probe seemed to open up to show a hangar filled with hundreds of Gordanians. The fleet of aliens suddenly take off from the opening, all heading for Jump City. Naruto seems to scoff at the threat, clearly not intimidated by a weakling who hides behind his men in a fake image. "Another army against me, how fun," he states sarcastically. "Those are some scary-looking aliens," came the curious and brave voice of Beast Boy. "They told us not to interfere," commented the hooded female as she and the others noticed the hunters fly across the water to the city. Cyborg looks over to Coriandar, then to Robin. "Are we really going to get involved? Do you need my help too?" asks Beast Boy enthusiastically. Robin smirks, before addressing them. "I suppose I could team up. Just this once." "What about you, Whiskers?" the cybernetic human asked the war hero. Naruto looks at the man, trying to ignore the nickname he just got, as his calm and straight lips are replaced by a fox-like grin, one that makes the two QBs smirk with pride. Let's do this. As the others turn to walk away, Raven stays behind looking at the group, before looking down in sadness. Are you in? Came the voice of Robin, knocking Raven from her thoughts, as she looks over to them. Raven turns to the side and looks away. I'm not the hero type, trust me. If you knew what I really am, you wouldn't want me around. She says miserably as she turns her back on them. She would have walked away, but Naruto puts a hand on her shoulder. We know enough. He replies with a soft smile, a smile that Robin also has, as she turns around. Raven seems to smile at him. You are interesting, Naruto, very interesting, and warm. Naruto didn't know the thoughts of Raven since he wasn't a mind reader. He was however focused on something else. His ability to detect negative emotions was going off the scale. You feel that, right? Yes, Naruto, the Gordanians have found you. Heads up, we've got company. Naruto shouts, startling and alerting all of them. Naruto looks down the street to see a large number of the vile aliens. Robin readies his staff for the coming fight. Beast Boy gets ready to transform so he can dish out major damage. Cyborg stands ready, planning on using his enhanced strength to take them down. Starfire readies herself to charge at the aliens who imprisoned her. Raven floats off the ground and prepares to use her powers. Naruto cracks his neck to loosen it up, and is ready to unleash his powers and skills. The defenders rush to the Gordanians and dispatch groups of them at a time. Cyborg brings both hands down in a hammer-like shattering impact on a Gordanian's head, before clotheslining two others. He then quickly jumps forward to engage others. The force of the air against him draws his hood back, showing his face, and a bald head that seems to have silver, white, black and blue-colored armored parts, one of which is the cause of his red eye. Beast Boy had at the same time transformed into a rhinoceros, and took out a heap of aliens in a ramming motion that must have felt like a truck to the receiving extraterrestrials. Coriandar plowed through a number of them with a flying fist, before spin-kicking a number away from her. Robin on the other hand was using his second staff of the day against the Gordanians, showing the might of human muscle and power. He then swiftly moves to take out more with some grenades like he has used on Startfire earlier. Raven uses her powers to force the enemies away from her, causing them to slam into cars, the road, and nearby buildings. While doing this, her hood and cloak have been pulled back due to the fighting, allowing others to see what she looks like. She has blue ruffled ankle boots with black soles, with a leotard-like long-sleeved shirt that is blue/black with cuffs at her wrists of the same blue of her cloak. Around her waist she has a red and gold belt with the same jewels around it and no pants. The belt ties at the back like a cord. Her short hair is also violet, and on her forehead is a red and black bindi. Naruto seems to grow a giant chakra arm and fist of golden flames around his right arm, before swinging it at a clump of Gordanians, eliminating them quickly. He then moves against a clump of aliens with a smirk. Coriandar flies into the air, sending a volley of star bolts to the invaders, taking some out. She misses too. One attempts to punch her, she dodges and knocks him out with a swift punch, before being knocked down by the Gordianian she missed. She crashes hard into the ground, causing another crater. Before she could get up though, the alien who knocked her down stands above her, preparing to blast her with his staff. Naruto and Robin, who are both battling next to each other, notice her peril, so they double-team a single alien. Robin smacks the giant lizard to Naruto with his staff, and Naruto kicks the alien in the back, sending it to the one standing over Starfire, knocking both away and knocking them out. The alien girl smiles at them before joining in the chaos once more. Cyborg wasn't having the best of times. He was barely keeping his own against this Gordanian, with both fighting for a staff. The alien uses his tail to trip the muscle-bound male over and attempts to blast him. Cyborg rolls out of the way, before using his hands to jump away from more blasts. He lands, but is then bombarded by blue blasts, causing a smoke screen. It soon clears, and reveals Cyborg in all his glory. The scheme of silver, white, black and blue-colored armored parts continued all over his body, showing that he is indeed a cybernetic human, whether by choice or not is unknown for now. Cyborg jumps forward and with a single punch, destroying the staff of the alien trying to kill him, before lifting him up and heaving him into a few flying Gordanians, who were all heading towards him. A rain of blue energy balls descend upon him and attempt to destroy him. A green pterodactyl saves the half-metal man from his premature destruction. The group that would have taken the two out was stopped, when a lamppost covered in black energy smacks them away, sending them to the other wounded aliens. Naruto meanwhile slides down the path, before dropping, and kicking the knee out of one of them, before quickly getting up, breaking the staff of another one with a punch, and then kicking him away into a small group. Naruto quickly goes through hand signs. Wind release, air bullets. Air around the blonde condenses into bullets made of wind, before blasting off at incredible speed, impacting the aliens fiercely and subduing them. Naruto is then forced to dodge a blue blast, before teleporting behind the last alien near him in a flash of gold, and slamming his signature swirling chakra ball, known as the Rasengan, into his back, causing the alien to spiral away and crash into a building. The standing aliens suddenly leave, not wanting to continue the losing fight. They take off in the direction of the moon, leaving some of the wounded and unconscious behind. Naruto nods before walking back to the group. "Thank you." The now nicer alien female states uncertainly to the group. "Aw man, my suit." Cyborg complains after just noticing his attire being destroyed. "So, you look way cooler without it." Beast Boy compliments with a thumbs up. "Take a good long look. I had an accident, I'm a monster, alright." "A cyborg." Cyborg retorts angrily, getting into the green male's face. "Cyborg." Naruto questions mentally from a distance as he closes the space between him and the group, his super hearing picking up the conversation. "A cyborg, cool. You're like Robot Man too." "Zero," Beast Boy exclaims in awe as he admires the cybernetic male. "You're a weird little dude, you know that. Appearance doesn't mean you're a monster, nor does the family line. What makes you a monster is how you yourself act. I look at you and I don't see a monster, I see a strong individual who has fought to get to where they are now and has survived everything that anyone threw at them." Naruto remarks to the broad male, as he walks next to them, keeping his eyes on Cyborg, not knowing how much he touched the changeling, the machine-human hybrid, and ash-skinned female, with his words. He then turns to Beast Boy. "You might as well lose the cool goofy mask, since we all know what we look like now, for the most part." That makes the green teen's eyes widen in surprise. "Goofy. My mask is cool and protects my secret identity, doesn't it?" The answer to his question was the shaking of heads from Cyborg and Raven. "You're green, what secret identity?" She quickly pulls her hood back up to cover most of her face in shadow once more. Beast Boy tries to retort and fails. He sighs, then takes off his mask, allowing others to see his short, messy dark green hair and all of his face. Robin reflects on the more urgent matter as he walks up to them with coriander. "This isn't over. Now that we've interfered." Startfire casts her eyes over the group before they land on Naruto. "I do not know how to tell him about his planet." She thinks, before adding to the boy wonder's speech and interrupting him. "Trogar will strike harder, it is only a matter of." She is interrupted as a hologram of the person in question appears again. "Fools. The Earth scum were warned, your insolence will be punished. Your city shall be destroyed." He shouted in a tone of an enraged deity. His hologram vanishes as his ship takes position in the sky, and seems to charge a bright weapon at the bow, which is aimed at the city. Naruto looks at the ship with a scowl. What a way to end the night. For fuck's sake. Raven walks into the middle of the group, looking at the imposing enemy ship. "Great." She mutters with a hint of annoyance. The Gordanian ship floats in the sky, ready to fire on any part of Jump City it deems undeserving of existing on the map anymore. From the angle of attack, it seems to have the sextet dead in the vessel's scope. So, after trashing a pizza place, several streets, and a number of buildings, we've managed to make a humongous space gecko mad enough to vaporize our entire town. Came the voice of Beast Boy in a loud and troubled tone as he looked at the space gecko's ship. Go team! Came the sour comment from Cyborg as he deadpanned at the alien ship. The group, except Naruto and Raven, then exploded in a flurry of arguments between each other. Sparks were flying between Robin's and the alien female's eyes, while Beast Boy and Cyborg were in their own volatile quarrel. Naruto could have sworn the heads of the Boy Wonder and Coriandar grew and shrunk in their verbal exchange, much like the strange big head jutsu Irika used in class during Naruto's academy days. Raven, who is standing beside Naruto, begun to concentrate as best as she can by this time in a futile attempt to keep a lid on her powers and emotions. Not being able to deal with it anymore, she speaks up. Quiet. Her yell rings in a silent street and everyone falls silent. The four who are in their squabbles angrily stare her way. For some moments though, she's quiet before she comes up with any more words. She waves timidly as she speaks. Hi. Naruto waves back with a big, happy smile, and replies. Hello. Raven glances at Naruto and a ghost of a smile appears on her face, before looking back to the group. Look, it doesn't matter how we got into this mess. We're in it, and we will get out of it together. Robin said, taking command of the situation, and leaving the hint that they are the last hope for the city. Coriandar nods in grim agreement, along with Cyborg and Raven. Beast Boy's mouth has curved up into a mischievous smile, while Naruto nods with a serious expression, with a tint of an ill-behaved smirk. Come on. We've got a city to save. Gordanian ship, corridors, Thursday. In a dully lit, metallic corridor on the ship, a large bubble of Raven's black energy rises from the surface and quickly dissipates to expose the 6 heroes within. While some of them seem relaxed, Naruto quickly scans the vicinity with his eyes, nose, and ears to make sure no enemy was near or toxic gases in the air. While several Gordanians were down the adjacent corridor, there were no toxic gases in the air. The blonde did notice that the next walkway had a wall that was green with a pulsating red light along it, no doubt the energy tubes that power the weapon. Your form of teleportation is pretty awesome. Naruto commented as he beamed a grin towards the dark energy user. Raven in response turned her eyes away from him, glad that she had her hood up so that he, and the others, wouldn't be able to see her blush. Although Naruto could see a tint of a blush due to his improved eyesight. Beast Boy meanwhile shudders noticeably, clearly not being used to the method of transportation used. That dark energy stuff gives me the... His would-be criticism was shattered, as Raven seems to edge closer to him, giving him a marginally irritated frown. Beast Boy quickly sees this, and attempts to correct himself. He beams a broad smile with his thumbs up. I mean it's cool. A nervous little laugh follows this. I have to admit, it was unique. Much different than the ones I've used and been subjected to. Naruto muses, with Raven making a note of that. The Gordanians down the hallway hustle away around 2 different bends, after which Robin pokes his head out from the connecting passageway the team are in. The Boy Wonder steps out into the main corridor and whispers to the others we have to get to the firing controls. There isn't much time. Coriandar is the first out after him, Beast Boy, Naruto and Cyborg follow. Raven emerges a while after them all but does not follow. Creeping as quietly as he can, the changeling glances back at her over his shoulder before looking forward again as he follows the gang toward the end of the passage. Raven at that closes her eyes and drops her head despondently, as if she has just lost all hope. Mind telling us why you're always by yourself? Cyborg asks her, while indicating to him and Naruto, who's standing next to the metal man. You heard the kid. I don't exactly fit in. Replied the goth girl in her normal emotionless voice. The metallic man places his hand on her shoulder. He's green, half of me is metal, and she's from space. I'm not sure about Whiskers here though. I'm a shinobi from another planet, or time, I'm not sure which it is yet. Besides, Robin over there is wearing a traffic light like spandex outfit. Naruto provided for him, and using his thumb to indicate to the traffic light like spandex outfit wearer further down the corridor. "You'll fit in just fine." Cyborg reassures her with a chuckle, while making a note about Naruto to look into later, and he isn't the only one. The message seems to strike the right chord within Raven, and she allows him to ease her off along the passage after the others, with Cyborg and Naruto following. Robin and Starfire stop at another corner further down the corridor. He peeks around to see if there are any hostiles. "I bring you apology for our fight when I landed," came the alien female's voice, causing Robin to turn to face her. "Don't worry about it. We didn't know the whole story then," he replies in truth. Coriandar smiles at him, looks back to Naruto and the rest of the gang, before looking back to Robin. "And again, you are all nice. On my world, only my Knorfka has shown me such kindness." "Well, things are different here," commented Cyborg with a grin. This causes Naruto to smile also. "At least the local language isn't that much different to mine." Beast Boy's next words startle them all out of their own observations. Guys?" He points past Coriandar and Robin. "I think they know we're here." And true enough, in front of the six were the source of his alarm. A squad of troops charge at them, and all are incredibly angry. Naruto, being at the back, turns to face back the way they came, to see another Gordanian that leaps with a screech towards him. Naruto smirks as he primes a Rasengan in his right palm. "It's minutes past midnight, good night." Gordanian ship, bridge, Thursday. On the large, multi-leveled bridge filled with many officers and consoles, a control panel graph lights up to match the rising power levels of the weapon, showing it's nearly ready. It quickly maxes in capacity, indicating it's a full power. This graph is being viewed by one of the crewmen manning the helm of the bridge on the lowest level. The officer, after adjusting the controls, turns in his seat to address his captain. "Lord Trogar." He's obviously directing this to the captain's chair on the highest elevated platform. The back of the chair is facing the crewman. The weapon has reached full power. This gets the captain's attention as the chair begins to swivel around, showing that the captain is Lord Trogar himself, who is seated in it. Then begin the firing sequence. He decrees, sentencing this city, and maybe the world, to destruction. The helmsman does so. Another monitor that displays the schematics of the ship fades away and are replaced by a circle of letterings in the crew's language, with another one at the center. The exterior marks begin to disappear one by one, starting at the top and working counterclockwise. This is no doubt the countdown timer that fires the particle weapon. The Earth scum shall learn, it takes more than 6 juvenile heroes to defy the mighty Lord Trogar. He announces smugly and full of power as he stands from his throne-like captain's chair. He looks out the observation windows at the front of the bridge, in which he could see the weapon's barrel pointing straight ahead. Rings of light flick on from the base of the cannon and along the chamber to the end. Trogar smiles callously at the destruction he is about to unleash. His dark enjoyment was instantly destroyed, as the door directly behind him is blown inward with terrific force and a mask of smoke covers the area. It soon clears to show Robin standing tall, and as more of the smoke clears, the others come into view. Cyborg is standing next to the Boy Wonder in a similar fashion, and Beast Boy is crouching but ready for the confrontation. While Starfire, Raven, and Naruto are floating in the air, with the alien princess charging up starbolts in her hands. "We're not 6 heroes. We're one team," Robin declares, stating that they are not 6 individuals, but one fully functioning team. Trogar quickly ditches his triumphant smile in preference of an infuriated growl, and in a flash every spare bridge officer is on the move, but Trogar spots Naruto and raises a hand. "I know you, Elemental. You're the war hero, Naruto Uzumaki. You know me too." That was a shock to Naruto, but also the other members of the group of young heroes, but they all, except Starfire, were shocked at the war hero section in Trogar's comment. "I do, since I destroyed your home planet with this very ship. I made the slave, and your former best friend, Coriandar here, watch it." He states heartlessly and in glee as he watches both Coriandar and Naruto's pained expressions, while the other heroes are in pure shock. At this moment inside Naruto's mindscape, the two QBs are wide-eyed, hearing that their world and their kind was destroyed or endangered. Naruto looks over to Coriandar, hoping that they were lies, that she was the same girl that he knew on Gaia, and that his world was gone to the ages. She looks over to him with sad eyes and nods grimly. The other members of the team look in pity at Naruto having to discover this from the enemy in this fashion. So that means that you, and the demon you hold within, are the last of their kinds, and I can't wait to make you both extinct. He said jeeringly at the now endangered shinobi and blast-tailed beast. Raven looks at the blonde boy with wide eyes. He contained a demon inside him, and yet he seemed so normal. Was something different about this demon? She really needed to talk to him now after this was over. Naruto looks down in sadness and sheds a few tears in loss with his home and all his friends. He closes his eyes for a brief moment, but when he opens them back up to gaze at Trogar again, his pupils are feline slits, but are so narrow, they're almost like needles, and he trembles in rage. I'll weep for my planet later, but as for you trying to make them feel uneasy around me, I don't care. I'll tell them right now. I don't just contain one demonic entity. I contain two, and they are some of the nicest fucking people around. I have a new family now, all of which are so unique, and I'll defend them, even if my body turns to dust. Naruto declares with vigor and a fiery passion that seemed unnatural. You are going down, you smug space gecko bastard. Robin, unknowingly inspired by Naruto, spearheads the charge for the allies and gets in the first hit, a flying kick that nearly snaps a scaly neck. He then jumps to another one and swiftly removing him from the competition, before using his staff to take on the last two near him. He then moves to take some stationed near a console to the side of the bridge. Cyborg slams both fists to the floor, throwing out a sheet of energy to blast other enemies off their feet, before slugging another Gordanian, a punch that nearly removes the head of the hostile alien, before spearing another alien. Beast Boy bounces into the fray, literally, as a green kangaroo, and kicks two in the gut at full force. He then rapidly turns into a gorilla and pounds another two with ground-shattering hits. He turns back into a marsupial, just in time to kick one Gordanian away and lash another with his heavy tail, before transforming to his base form again. Trogar at that moment descends upon him, smashing both arms against the deck close enough to send him flying backward with a yell. The only thing that stops his momentum is the wall. He slides down it and ends up on the floor in a heap. Coriandar delivers a supercharged uppercut that sends her enemy crashing to the deck. She wasn't about to lose her freedom, not with so much at stake. She fires several starbolts to incapacitate the last of the Gordanians in her immediate area, before punching another Gordanian so hard across the face, it nearly removed its head from its shoulders. The Gordanian Lord meanwhile roars and is all set to beat the changeling to a pulp, but Raven pops up from the floor and throws up a small black shield to stop this act. Trogar delivers punch after punch into it, really bringing down the hammer, causing the unique chakra user against the wall and her knees to buckle. He finally breaks through the defense and prepares to flatten them both. Once again he is foiled, this time by Naruto's punch to the stomach with a fiery golden fist, sending the Lord across the bridge. The chakra fist vanishes, showing that his hand actually transformed to a golden version of itself, allowing no distinction between clothes and skin. Naruto quickly creates a shadow clone with no hand signs, which appears in a flash of smoke next to him. Go to that console, hack it, and find out the truth. The real Naruto commands to the clone, who does what he asked, before the real one throws himself to a stumbling Trogar. Raven wasn't so surprised at seeing the clone being formed, since she already knew of his cloning ability when she was scouring the city for him earlier, and kept finding fake versions of him, but she at least knows how the blonde did it now. What catches her eye though, is the white circle in his right palm. I wonder what that symbol means. She ponders. Robin aids Naruto in his skirmish. It takes him only the fraction of a second to leap back into the fight and deliver a crushing left jab that rocks Trogar off his feet. Even before the Lord can hit the floor, he is knocked in a different direction by a steel-souled spin kick by Robin. Naruto teleports behind the space gecko and brings a solid kick to the spine, whacking him back to Robin in a strange version of football. Now it is the boy wonder's turn to be caught out when massive hands wrap themselves around his midsection and is thrown to the side, flying past Startfire and into the far wall behind the captain's chair. A shocked gasp escapes from her mouth upon catching the sight of the Earthling warrior. Robin! She quickly spins around to a snarling Trogar, who is on his way across the deck toward her. Powering up as she lifts off, she lets go with a string of shots that tears into the deck on the way toward him. He is soon lost under the explosions and following smoke screen for a moment, he shocks Coriandar as he leaps out of it intact and madder than ever. That giant hand grabs her, jerking her down and slamming her into the ground harshly. She struggles to break his hold for a moment, before punching the alien lord with a starbolt-covered fist that forces him to drop her. With the still prone Robin, Naruto had his hand on his shoulder. After checking him for any injuries, the human hero decides to check Naruto's mental state. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Naruto knew what the boy wonder was referring to. He glanced to Cyborg and Coriandar delivering a volley of attacks to the creature that destroyed his planet. He looked back to Robin. "I'll be fine. I will need some time after this though, to figure out what I'm going to do on this planet. Is it true that you have two demonic beings inside you?" He questioned, hearing what the blonde exclaimed proudly earlier. "Yes, I have. I'll explain after this," Naruto replied with a smile. Robin's right eye gets larger due to the answer. Naruto wondered if the human was raising a brow, or if the mask was a part of his body. The flying bodies of the cybernetic male and Tamaranian princess landing beside them interrupted their small conversation. As Cyborg's right arm hits the floor, the panels of the artificial arm are jolted open for a moment, before all three peel themselves up. The circuitry now needing special attention, and very soon at that, but that would be very tricky. "Can you rewire that into some sort of weapon?" Robin inquired as he looked over to the metallic male. "I can try." Cyborg replies, while at the same time, they hear a crackling sound, something similar to lightning or electricity being discharged violently, but controlled at the same time. The group of heroes and villainous aliens look to see the source of the crackling is Naruto, who is holding up a swirling chakra ball like he did in the corridor, but this one was golden and was a swirling ball of lightning. While at the same time, a golden seal appeared on Trogar's stomach. Another thing that they noticed was Naruto's eyes are blood red instead of cerulean blue. It's called Flying Thunder God, Lightning Release Rasengan. He growls out almost demonically. What the others didn't know is that young Kurama was in control of the blonde. Raven noticed that Naruto wasn't in control at the moment, and wondered if it was similar to her other personas. Before any of them can react, the QB-controlled Naruto teleported in a flash of yellow, reappeared in front of Trogar in the same fashion, and slammed the electrified chakra sphere into the Lord's stomach. This attack painfully electrocuted the Lord, which was evident by his screams. Trogar was then propelled away from Naruto, with the ball still wedged in his stomach, out the bridge window, and along the fully weaponized barrel, before landing and exploding on the barrel. The other still conscious Gordanians look on in shock at their lord's quick and very excruciating death. They look back to Naruto, who had moved back next to Robin. They snarl and rush forth with a battle cry. The act of doing so boxes them in. They were going to avenge their dematerialized leader in a very painful fashion upon the group of teens. However, a growl stops the Gordanians' advances. The source is none other than Raven, who is supporting Beast Boy. Menacingly, she shouts at the creatures that had stopped in their march to her allies. "Get away from my friends." Her eyes glowed a brilliant white as she began summoning her powers. Azarath Metrian Zinthos. On cue with the last word, her spell causes most of it to disappear in a mighty explosion that causes a thick smoke scream. The shrouded people feel the ship spiral out of control, plummet toward Jump City Bay, and crashed in the water next to the island. The heroes were scattered across the bridge due to the explosion and fall. The only one not affected was Naruto, who stood still in the same place with glowing red eyes slowing reverting back to their original blue and having no glow. One of the reasons for that was the shadow clone exploded and returned all the knowledge it had gained from the hacking and sent it all to him, with the other reason being the blonde was now back in control. Naruto looks around the now roofless, demolished bridge littered with unconscious Gordanians, and was surprised it was still above water. He did note that it began to sink after a few moments. Robin, Cyborg, and Coriandar straightened up from their various positions on the deck, checking to see if they were harmed. Beast Boy and Raven at that moment find themselves in a broad approaching shadow. A lone Gordanian stands before the two. The survivor extends the claws on one hand to full length and lifts that hand, all set to eviscerate the adolescent boy and girl. This Gordanian's action is stopped cold, this time by a brilliant blue-white flash from behind that slams squarely with his back. He goes down like a ton of bricks, allowing the changeling and Raven to see the other four in the background. Cyborg's right arm is raised to point straight ahead. A muzzle of a blue cannon has now replaced the right hand. He was able to rewire the damaged arm into a weapon like Robin had suggested earlier. As he powers down the arm, Cyborg spoke up after the deafening silence. "All right. I'm only gonna say this once." He gains the attention of the others, and beams a grin at them. "Booyah! Jump City Bay, Island, Thursday." It had been a few hours since the invasion, and the sunrise was beautiful to say the least. Although most of the others had seen this type of rise before, it was different for the blonde shinobi as he studied it with his folded arms. Naruto, Cyborg, Robin, Raven, and Beast Boy were all stood on the island's shores watching the sunset not far from the crashed spacecraft and Gordanian landing craft. Other than those, there was no other visible trace of the late Trogar's invasion fleet. "That's quite a view. Somebody should think about building a house out here." Cyborg added to Raven's comment with a nod. A smiling Beast Boy added his own thoughts on the matter. "Yeah, if you like sunshine and the beach." He seemed to have aimed this at Raven, as he nudged her, causing her to release a soft giggle. The green machine then turned his head to Naruto, who was standing a few meters from the group. "What about you, Naruto? What do you think?" Naruto was about to answer, but senses a familiar energy coming to them. He looks back to see the one he knows as Coriandar. He's going to have to speak to her about what happened on the ship later. The others turned to see what the blonde among them was looking at, and was surprised by the redhead's arrival in clothes. Please. She had gotten rid of the crown, under armor, and dark clothing. She has long red bangs that framed her face, small bangs hanging over her forehead, and has small eyebrows with the same color. She now wears a sleeveless top showing her stomach, a miniskirt, and thigh boots that were all purple. With them she had a belt, silver armor plates on her neck and arms, and a metal armband around her right arm. She definitely had a much sunnier disposition. "I look nice." Robin steps up to meet her halfway. Beast Boy however interrupted his question. "You know we still don't know your name. After all it was hectic on the Gecko's ship. In your language, it would be Starfire." She told them with a smile, which increased as she looked over the team. "I thank you all for your help and bravery. Welcome to Earth, Starfire." Robin smiles to her, along with the others. Naruto was still distant from them, but still smiling. "I wish to ask permission to remain here, where the people are most strange, but also most kind." She continued again with a smile and nervousness. "You don't need our permission," Raven stated before shaking her head with a smile. She heard Naruto move slightly in their direction, and was wondering why he was keeping his distance from the group. Was he afraid? Curious? Could he be still mourning for the loss of his planet and race? Or was he just unsure with what to do now? "If you want our friendship, you've got it," Robin confirmed with a smirk, the others agreeing. They then noticed Naruto walking to them. "I guess we could all use some new friends," Naruto adds uneasily, suggesting that he's still unsure either about staying, making friends, or still not sure what he's going to do with his life now. He joined in the circle the others had formed. "I did find out something interesting though from the ship during the fight. I got a clone of myself to hack a computer, and found out some important information." "Which is?" was the curious response and question from Cyborg, who was looking at the blonde-haired war hero. I found out that my world wasn't destroyed, he announces happily. But I watched it get destroyed, Naruto. The princess butts in, knowing what she saw with her jade eyes. Apparently, they wanted to mentally damage you more, Coriandar. They found a world that looked similar and used their computer technology to alter the image. No offense to you two and your conversation, but I think we kind of made a cool team. Beast Boy cut in, then stated with an enthusiastic grin. The others agreed, even Naruto. Naruto and Starfire would have to continue this very important conversation at a later date. Robin then pulled some items from his belt. I thought we might want to keep in touch, so Cyborg and I designed these. Spread across the palms of his hands are 3 devices, which are flat yellow circular contraptions with a black circle in the middle, which is inside a yellow circle with black patterns, while a small antennae and a red button extend from it. Naruto guesses they are communicators and wonders if the blackness of the middle will ever be filled. Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire each take one and run an impressed eye over them. Naruto afterwards takes the last one and hummed as he inspected it. Made them myself. Cyborg informed them proudly. His smile grew as Naruto offered a fist bump, which he accepted. When there's trouble, you know who to call. Robin declares while giving a thumbs up as the new team give a variety of facial expressions. Starfire nodded with a big beaming smile along with Cyborg. Beast Boy had a large smile also and was very happy with the idea of the new team. Raven nodded with a faint smile. Naruto grins a happy foxy grin. I may be lost, but I'll never lose my way, he mentally states. However, someone else was there. This person held a special connection to the blonde, and he was about to make his presence known. Nice to see a familiar face. Naruto. That gets everyone's attention, but at the same time Naruto released a gasp, knowing the person that voice belonged to. But that person died before the war, didn't he? So how was he here? Naruto looks to the side, specifically where the Gordanian landing craft was, and noticing a very familiar person standing against it. This person is a tall, middle-aged man with waist-length, spiky white hair that is tied back into a ponytail, with 2 shoulder-length bangs that framed both sides of his face and bangs hanging just over his eyebrows. He has red lines that run down from his eyes. He wears a black short shirt kimono with the kanji symbol for boil that denotes his affiliation with Mount Myaboku, and long matching black pants, under which he has mesh armor that shoots out of the sleeves of his outfit. His outfit is completed with hand guards, a simple black belt, black shoes, and a red haori with 2 simple yellow circles on each side. His left palm also features a tattoo. Another feature is that his left arm was cybernetic like Cyborg's, but more fitting for the man's body structure. This is Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin. It can't be. Naruto used his senses to find any form of illusion and found none. Do you know this person? Raven asked while looking at the chakra levels this person had. It was very high and more refined like Naruto's, higher than hers, but not as high as Naruto's, who is standing next to her. Pervy Sage. Is that you? Naruto asks trembling. Just seeing his face again is too much for Naruto. He couldn't believe that his godfather was standing a few meters from him, alive. The others raised their eyebrows, with Beast Boy snickering at the odd name. They wanted to know about the connection between the two. It's nice to know that you've not forgotten me, my student. The man laughed, secretly missing the nickname given to him by Naruto and his own father Minato. The others were in shock when the man called Naruto, my student. Jungle, Thursday. The priest that Starfire had encountered was standing in a moonlit forest, with an open canopy, but still had high trees and was quite expansive in size. Beautiful flowers of all types surrounded the pathway he is situated on. A great horned owl is stood on his shoulder. He strokes the owl affectionately. Both he and the owl were looking in direction of Jump City. The priest releases a sigh of relief, before he continues on his trek into the unknown. All is well. End chapter. So this part ends here. If you want to see next part of this series, like the video now and share the story with your friends. Bye bye.